But I want to continue this series entitled Seeing Jesus, and today I want to talk about sharing and showing the gospel. Sharing and showing the gospel. It's Vision Month, and as we talk through vision and we work through who we are and where we are and where we're going as a church, the best way to see who we should be and where we should be going is by seeing Jesus. He is our marker. He is our model. He is the portrait, the picture. As we want to be conformed to his image, we want to flow and follow his pattern and his path. And so as we anticipate and expect a effective, impactful, powerful ministry that goes to another level, most people, when they want to be better, they study people who are better than them. Yeah. And so as we want to be better believers, we want to be a better church, our commitment is to study who? Jesus. We want to study Jesus. And so as we see Jesus, he shows us what we should be like, what we should look like, what we should be doing. And last weekend, we dug in on this idea of grace. Yeah. And today, I want us to zero in on good news. Matthew 5:14 through 16 is where we will anchor as we talk about sharing and showing the gospel. The gospel, in simple terminology, means what? Good news. And here's the deal, everybody. It is the diabolical design of Satan, the hope of Satan, that we would all be concerned with bad news. If he can get us focused on bad news, sharing bad news, gossiping about bad news, thinking about bad thoughts and bad drama and bad behavior and bad ideas, he can keep us from everything good. When we see Jesus, check him out. All throughout the Gospels, when you follow his path and when you follow his plans and when you follow his purposes, when you see Jesus talking to people, when you see Jesus sitting with people, he's never bringing bad news. Think about it. Wherever you see Jesus, whenever he shows up, he's never bringing bad news. If you get on his Facebook page, Jesus is never posting anything bad. If you follow Jesus on Instagram and you look at all of his pictures all through the Gospels, whether he's sitting at dinner with somebody, whether he's standing in the crowd with a group of people, whether he's standing in front of people, there are never pictures or projections of bad news or bad drama or bad craziness. If you follow his words, 140 characters or more, you never see his tweets pointing to bad news. And we are his and he is ours, which leads me to this question. Why are we so infatuated with bad news? And everything our Jesus represents is good news. And listen, bad news, everybody, it either brings us down or it takes us away from good. Can I talk to some real people? And the enemy will want to use bad news to either move us down or to move us away. But as we think about it, we can't always control bad news coming to us, but we can control whether or not it's coming through us. Tweet that. Just bad ideas or bad thoughts or bad, just period. And as we think about who we are as a church, in Matthew 14 through 16, the invitation is for all of us to embrace this concept of really getting into the gospel and embracing this concept of life and life more abundantly. And what it means to embrace God's ideas and God's words and God's plans and God's instructions and God's perspectives. And what it means to know that he's got good news for everybody at whatever place you're in your life, whether it's the poor, or whether it's the sick, or whether it's the captive. The good news comes to set the captive free, or to encourage even those who are brokenhearted. And what it means to know that as a church, he calls us to share the good news and to show the good news, visible demonstrations of his goodness or of good. And as we think about that, as it's a calling on the church, is the church the building? No. Guess where the church is? You sitting by them. Go and look over at the church. Don't they look like the church? You sitting right next to the church. And some of y'all are sitting next to a sharp church. They sharp. Sharp. Twinkle, twinkle, little star. In Matthew 5, y'all, 14, Matthew 5, 14 through 16, you know the verses. Here's what Jesus says. You are the what? Light. Somebody say, I'm the light. I'm the light. You're the light. You're the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hid. Verse 15. Nor do any light a lamp and put it under a basket. Who lights a candle and puts it not on a lampstand, but puts it in a cabinet, lit? You're going to burn your house down. He says, no, you don't have a light to hide it. He says, but on a lampstand, and it gives light to all who are in the house. Verse 16, you know this one. Come on. Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify the Father which is in heaven. Here's the deal, everybody. Jesus says, guys, ladies, family, all of y'all are on my team and I need y'all. There's so much darkness in the world. Dark thoughts, dark perspectives, dark ideas, dark responses, dark philosophies, dark behavior, dark interactions. He says, I need y'all to light up wherever you are. The light of my Holy Spirit that's on the inside of you, and the brightness of my words, I need your life to be the light to illuminate wherever you are. Darkness only dissipates or disappears when light shows up. And he says, listen, you are the light of the world. We're the light of the world, like a city set on a hill. Notice he doesn't say a house. A whole city up on the hill. He says, here's what he says. Wherever you are, as my child, you are uniquely positioned where I make sure people can see you. And whether you know anybody is watching you or not, there's some eyes on you. And I got you in a place where there are eyes that are on you, and I need you to do me a favor. Shine. Shine with how you interact with people and how you treat people and how you handle your life and what you do and what you say and how you roll and how you handle your work. I need you to shine because watch this. When you are shining, when those people see you and see your good works, they're going to say, I want what they got. I want to be on that team. Listen, everybody wants to be on a winning team. I told her 8 o'clock, I wasn't a hockey fan until last year during the championship. The Blackhawks won, and I heard about it. I don't know nothing about hockey. I have joined the hockey committee. But everybody wants to be associated with a winning team. And here's as believers, we got to embrace this idea of what it means to know that we're on a winning team. And and to live and to work in a way where we want people to join the team that we're a part of. We give you these 2 ideas, 2 points for the whole day. 2 points for the whole day. As we think about sharing and showing the gospel, as Jesus says, I want you to share it and I want you to show it. I want you to share it and show it. You're the light of the world. And so I expect as a church, as believers, that the gospel, the good news, is shared through your life, but also shown through your life, through your work and through your efforts and through your life for all of us. And so 2 points. As we think about sharing and showing the gospel as a church, this whole idea of communicating good news. Communicating good news. It says you're the light of the world. I want you to communicate good news. Somebody say good news. Good news. God's ideas, God's thoughts, God's perspectives. And there are 3 things under this whole idea of communicating good news that I want to share with you as a church, as we want to share God's thoughts. And he says you're the light of the world. And so I want you to share that wherever you are, whatever you're working on, he says, I want you to share the good news. Under this umbrella, let me give you 3 things. Number 1, if I'm going to share the good news, I want to be fed. I want to be fed good news. I want to be fed good news. In other words, I want to make sure, like many of you are here today and many of you are streaming and beyond today, in Matthew 6:11. Matthew 6:11, it says, give us this day our daily bread. Let me break it down. The whole idea is of being fed. But that passage, when it says, give us this day our daily bread, what it actually means is, as Jesus teaches us how to pray in what's called the Lord's Prayer, that line in there, it means my prayer is that God, you give me for this day the specific word that I need on the inside of me that will empower me to be light on the outside of me before whatever I've got to face, whatever I've got to work on, whatever I've got to do. When it says our daily bread, in Greek, what those words mean is my tailor-made, custom-fitted word for every situation I could possibly face, possibly have to encounter, or whatever my responsibilities or obligations are. I need for this day, the word for this day, for whatever I've got to face for this day. And I don't know everything I'm going to have to face for this day, but you know everything I'm going to have to face for this day. So put in me what I need in me so I can handle whatever's going to be put on me. Come on, somebody reach up and say, give me what I need. Give me what I need. Give me this day. Because I don't know what's going to happen when I get to work. I don't know what I'm going to face when I wake up in the morning. I don't know what's going to happen on the highway. I don't know who's going to try to run me off the road, or who's going to blow at me, or what phone calls I'm going to get, or what bills I'm going to get, or who's going to cross me, or what haters goes. But I need you to put in me what I need in me. So no matter what comes my way, I am equipped, I am prepared to shine if I got darkness all around me. I'm going to shine. I'm going to shine. If you're talking crazy, I'm going to make some sense. I'm going to shine. Temptation shows up. God, you're going to give me the ability to say no when I want to say yes. I'm going to shine. I'm going to shine. There are moments that will come to make me weak, but you got a word on the inside of me to make me strong. I'm going to shine. I got some co-workers that I wish I could turn into I Dream of Genie and say, be gone. But I'm going to shine. I got some financial obligations that want to bring me down, but I'm going to shine. And know that but my God shall supply all of my needs according to his riches in glory by Christ Jesus. I'm on shine. Even though it's trying to bring me down or bring me away, I'm gone. This little light of mine, I'm gonna, this little light of mine, this little, oh Lord, let it Yes, sir. Oh, Lord. Yeah, Lord. Tell somebody. Jesus gave it to me. Yeah. Jesus. Somebody say shine. Say shine. Ah, shine. Hey, shine. Tell somebody, shine. Now, if that was too churchy for some of y'all, that was too churchy. Shine bright like a diamond. Shine bright like a diamond. Some of y'all about to start shouting because you just starting to, some of y'all thinking about how good God has been to you. Some of y'all, he helped you shine when you didn't know how you were going to shine. And some of y'all, when your light went out, he didn't give up on you. He didn't walk away from you, but he stuck right by your side. Say, I'm going to stay here. I'm going to stay right here until you're wet. What's that called? A wick? What's the little thing on the candle? Wick. Yeah, it's wet, but I'm going to stay right here till it dries. We're going to light it again. We're going to light it again. He wants us to share. Somebody shout, share. Share the gospel. And the whole idea is to say, I want to be fed every day. Every day when we get up, I want to be fed. Not only do I want to be fed, but I want to feel. I want to feel. See, God doesn't feed us for us to be full. God makes us full so we can feel somebody else. Am I making sense? You mean to tell me you're going to get filled up with all this goodness and you ain't going to pour none into nobody else? Excuse my ebonics. The whole idea is for us to be filled to feel. For God to fill us. You have never in your life filled up a pitcher of anything. Lemonade. Come on, Kool-Aid saints. Go on, just yell your drink out. I'm going to get to your drink. Sweet tea. I'm not going to name some other stuff. It's between you and Jesus. It's between you and Jesus. Don't nobody yell. Sangria! Just keep it. That's you and the Lord. It's you and the Lord. It's you and the Lord. Don't be hollering out everything in church. But when that pitcher is filled up, it's designed to what? Pour. We are filled to pour. And so Jesus, when he says, let your light so shine, what he's saying, I want you to share the gospel. I want you to be filled because you can't give what you can't have, what you don't have. So I want you to be filled. And then I want you to fill. I want you to pour. I want to be fed. I want to fill. I want to help fill some other people up with some good news. Because we run into people all the time. Or we spend time with people. Jesus says, for that 5 minutes that you're with that person, become contagious. If they can catch your cold, they can catch your joy. Come on, hit somebody and tell them, fill them up, fill them up, fill them up. Fill them up. Some people, you can tell they're running low. And listen, if you live enough life, your gas meter will go down too. You have enough obligations and you're around enough draining, leech-like people, and you get hit by enough tough stuff, or you make enough mistakes, you'll find your gas meter. And so we all need people around us to fill us. To fill us. 1 Thessalonians 5:11. It says, encourage one another and build each other up. Jesus says, I want you to share good news. Post good news. Pass along good news. Encourage people, uplift people, build each other up. You know, it takes no energy to tear people down. As a church, when you come here, we want you to be built up. And listen, I told my staff, we had an amazing staff retreat this week, a weekend, amazing staff retreat. And I said to my wife, one of the things I really respect about my team is they don't be bringing me no foolishness. Yeah, cause don't be bringing me this what they said or they thought or this happened that. I don't have time for that. I'm trying to share good news. I'm trying to create good news. And little petty statements and little petty comments and little petty perspectives and little bitty haters and big old haters and it's not edifying. Some people think I know stuff I don't know. Let me make an announcement. I don't know. And I don't want to know. I don't. Legacy Project, Fellowship Chicago, the city, they died, they sick, they broke. I'm trying to create some good news. What you bringing me this for? You go somewhere and sit down with that. Tell somebody sitting next to you, don't be bringing me down. Don't be tagging me in that foolishness. I don't want to read that. I'm trying to create some good news here. You trying to put sugar in my tank. I'm going fast. Trying to slow me. Ain't nobody got time to pull over. While we laughing, that's the spirit that a whole lot of us need to have this week. I don't even want to know. I can do bad all by myself. If it can't build me up, he wants us to share it. Lord, I want to be fed. Lord, I want to feel. Number 3, Lord, I want to focus. I want to focus on good news. And here's the deal. Here's why this point is so important. Because sometimes we can be caught up in some gossip and we don't even know it. In a full conversation and never even thought about it. Moved on to the next conversation. Don't mean no harm, right? Be done hit share on some stuff. Don't even know it. You know, I saw something, you know, the Pope seems to be such a remarkable person. I don't know everything he believes, and I don't have to know everything he believes. He seems to be a remarkable person. The commitment to loving people and serving people. And he looked like he was getting on the plane with his briefcase. And people just started saying, well, you know, see, I love that. He don't have no armor bearers. And see, these other preachers, see, they have all armor bearers. And the Pope doesn't have armor bearers. The Pope has a city. has more attendance and support. CNN, when he was in D.C., they said, we have not seen this much security since the presidential inauguration. But it was like people just all decided they just wanted to attack all clergy. And then people just, it's like, that's bad news. How is that edifying? How's that building up? It's not. Here's my point. Sometimes before we know it, we're just on the devil's team. We don't even know we on the devil's team. And the devil in hell is like, yeah, hit share. Yeah, share that. Yeah, post. Yeah, good job. Good job. And we talking about we spiritual. Shine. Here's my point. It takes focus to zero in on good news because we naturally either are saying it or either engaging in bad news and we don't even know it. It's natural. You didn't be done saying something, you didn't even know you said it. Just like the scriptures say, the tongue is a little fire. You just done burn them up. Lord, her husband is on fire. Somebody get a hose. She just set him on fire in 30 seconds. Lord, somebody help him. Roll him on the ground. He just done burn his wife up. You just going to say that in the grocery store. Clean up on aisle 4. Focus. Come on, say this to somebody. Focus on good news. Focus on good news. Let me give you really fast a couple ideas on creating good news. This week, here's what you want to say. This week, I want to create some good news. Visible demonstrations of the gospel at work in my life. God working through me to help me to do good works that bring glory to his name. So he says, let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify the Father which is in heaven. He invites us to do good works, which speaks to creating good news. Let me say it this way. Stuff that nobody may never talk about, but it's worth talking about. Stuff that nobody may ever see, but it will bless them if they do see it. And if you follow Jesus, whenever he shows up, get a microphone. Preach it. Wherever he shows up, he completely shows out. And when you see him, he's creating good news. Whether it's the woman at the well, she goes running saying, come see a man who told me all things that I ever did. Her whole demeanor has changed. Her whole spirit has changed. Now, a whole lot of people, they brought her down. Now, she was down, but they brought her lower. Jesus, when he shows up, he comes to raise her. He's creating good news, and she runs, and she tells the whole neighborhood, I want y'all to meet him. I want you to know what he's done for me. He creates testimonies and memories that become special. He calls us to live our lives in a way where we create stories and testimonies for other people that lead them to Jesus. Special moments. When you see him standing, what is that? What is that big event that y'all throw with house music in Chicago? The chosen few. Jesus is at the chosen few. Just standing in the crowd, making himself available. And the woman that has an issue of blood reaches up. Jesus is just in the crowd and people are getting blessed. The expectation is for you to just be at the place of business you're at. And people get blessed by your presence. What it means to create 3 things. Character. We want to show the gospel, create good news with our character. That's who we are. That's who we are. That's what we do. Well, here's the deal. If we're all honest, none of us are perfect. And listen. Unfortunately, there are some people that will look to wipe out all of your A's with a couple F's. I promise you, nobody could ever get to the championship Nobody can ever get to the championship if their losses, if their handful of losses wiped out all of their wins. The Cubs look like they're going to the playoffs. Woo! And I love this South Side spirit I just felt in here. The South Side spirit, because there were a handful of people just like, woo! Then there were some other people just like, I'm going to heaven from U.S. Cellular Field on the South Side. My colors are black and silver. It's all Chicago. It's all Chicago. But at the end of the day, how many of y'all remember this thing called the clapper? Come on, clap on, clap off, clap on, clap off. We didn't have one. I just saw the commercial. We weren't where some of you all were blessed to be. You could just lay in the bed and talk about. We had that get up. You ever been in the bed and wanted the light off? And was so tired you just, you wish you had the clapper, but you didn't have the clapper. Well, here's the deal. If some of us are honest as we speak to character, there are those moments where your light is on. And you just shining. How you doing? Blessed and highly favored. God is good. Won't he make a way? How you doing? Listen, hold your head up. You know, some people, they light be shining so much that they can't even identify when you're in a dark season. Your mama just died. You're going to be all right. Earth has no sorrow that heaven cannot heal. Pull yourself up. Get yourself together. Let your mama die. Lord. But they light shining so hard, they can't even have empathy. Come sit by me and put your arm around me and pass me some Kleenex. You might need some too. They light shining so just, God is good. What's wrong with you? At the end of the day, there are moments when our light is on. And then there are those moments. Come on, church people. When our light is off. I mean, just straight black magic. I mean, just darker than 3 midnights. Just, ooh, are you saved? Do you know the Lord? We do, but then there are those moments, if we're honest, where we just don't look like we on the team we're on. Truth? No. It's complete truth, right? But here's the deal. Just as there are moments when our light is off, as our light is off, do the work. Do the praying. And if you can't pray, be connected to somebody. When you can't do it, they can pray. They can believe. They can say, come to church with me. They can share a word when you won't pick up your word. They can share some music with you. They can share a text or a tweet with you to help you get your light back on. Because here's the lie that the devil wants you to believe. When it's off, it can't come back on. The devil is a liar and a loser. I don't care what you did, what you experienced, where you were wrong, what mistake you made. God can get your light back on so much so that nobody remembered when it was off. And sometimes there are those moments. There are those moments. My son, with his little playful self, will come in our room and just. And that's how some of us look sometimes. On, off. On, off. On, off. Look, go through some of our Facebook pages. On, grace, goodness, mercy. Let your light so shine. Next post. That M Oh, come on, back on. I mean, back on. Back on. Come on. Turn it back on. Come on. Let's get it back on. Am I making sense? Making sense. Somebody say good news. This whole idea to know that, oh yeah, okay, the times when I like, it's just off. But let's work to get it back on. Number 2, under creating good news with our lives. Number 2 is not only character, but contributions. Contributions, our work. And I talked about some of that. Our work, our contributions are so laced with the power of God that people know it ain't just you. It's got to be somebody on your team. It's got to be somebody working with you, working. Matter of fact, when Paul is in prison, and they're like, how are you writing epistles from solitary confinement? How are you doing this? He's like, to the church at Philippi, I've learned how to be content in whatsoever state I find myself in. I've learned how to be abased, and I've learned how to be abound. How do you do that? Oh, I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. Don't get it twisted. I can't take no credit for this attitude where I am. I can't take no credit for the spirit, for the pressure that I'm working under. And I'm able to produce at a high level from a low place. Please don't get it twisted. It is not me by myself, but if it had not been for the Lord who was on my side, I don't know, I'd be crazy. I would lose my mind up in here, up in. Y'all gonna make me. No, I was trying to go to the act the fool part. He says, I want you to know that the glory of the credit doesn't come to me, but to God be. Is there anybody in here that can look back over your life and see moments where you knew it wasn't you? See situations when you knew it wasn't you. You didn't keep yourself. You didn't help yourself. You didn't preserve yourself. You didn't open the door for yourself. And you didn't keep your own mouth shut. But he says, these good works that you see, the credit goes to a God who's good all the time. The contributions that I'm able to make, the giving that I'm able to do, the words that I'm able to share, the service I'm able to render, the sacrifice that you see, I cannot take credit, but it's somebody in me, somebody over me, somebody behind me, somebody beside me, carrying me, pushing me, leading me, guiding me, working for me, working on me, working through me, working around me. I wish I had about 15 people who knew that if it wasn't for God, you wouldn't have made it. If it wasn't for God, you couldn't have done it. If it wasn't for God, you couldn't have accomplished it. If it wasn't for God, you couldn't have comprehended it. If it wasn't for God, you couldn't have created it. If it wasn't for God, you could not have stood it. Well, look at you. You've been in the fire, come out, and we don't smell no smoke. Paul says, I want you to see my good works and glorify the Father which is in heaven. This is my contributions point back to him. This whole idea, my deal, he says, I'm creating demonstrations of what the gospel does when it's in your life. Good news. I'm not doing it for you to talk about it, but I want to do stuff that's worth talking about that brings attention to him. Listen, the devil's got enough PR people. God needs some good news soldiers. A matter of fact, I want you to tell the person next to you, you fired. Come on, tell somebody else. Some of y'all been wanting to say that for a long time. You can't say it to your boss. Say it to the person next to you. Tell them you're fired. Fired from reporting bad news. Fired from sharing bad ideas. Fired from sharing bad situations. Fired, you on the good news committee. When you wake up, good news. A matter of fact, you know what is good news? He woke you up. It's good news that he gave you grace goodness, mercy, and his hand is on you. I don't know if you know it or not, but whatever you're wearing, you got some favor on top of that. Your contributions speak to that. And listen, they can be big or small. Let me give you this last one. Consistency. Consistency. Remember, you're a city sat on a hill that cannot be hid. There are people that are watching you like that Energizer bunny. Dirt, still going. Water, still going. Mountains, still going. Whatever it is, that consistency, hills, valleys, straight plains. Philippians chapter number 2, verse number 8. It says, Jesus, being found in the appearance of man, he humbled himself. He humbled himself by becoming obedient, even unto death. Obedient to death, even on a cross. Here's the deal. It's not always easy to keep going. It's not. And listen, every job God gives you is not a pretty job. Every job gives you is not a happy job. But I said this last night on Periscope. Embrace the demand. If God allows it to be put on you, what you need to handle it is already in you. Tweet that. If he allows it to be put on you, and sometimes it feels like it's more than you can handle. Sometimes you want to crumble. Sometimes you want to quit. Sometimes you want to walk away. Jesus went to the Garden of Gethsemane, messed up, crying and everything. Yeah, tears was running. It says, he says, I'm sore pained. Within me, I'm grieving on the inside. And it showed up on the outside. And he asked the disciples to pray for him, and they went to sleep. Sometimes people who know you and you know them will go to sleep on you at the time you need them the most. But you got to trust the Father for the grace to keep going. And know, watch this, that your life ain't going to look like everybody else's life. Your demand, your responsibilities, your obligations might look a little different. And while your friend is enjoying the weather and you sitting behind a desk, talking about, I wish I was out there with you. I can't stand this. I got to sit in here. That's your demand. Be consistent and focus on your focus and create more good news. And as you create good news, know that there are going to be some people that's going to try to take your good news and turn it into bad news. Well, guess what? They work for a different team. And you can't focus on that. Because sometimes the devil will raise up somebody who knows Jesus to try to use them as a distractor, or to use them to turn the truth into a lie. It's in the word. But you got to stay focused. I'm going to be consistent. Situations change, circumstances change, people change, but I got to stay. My deal is good news. My deal is good news. And I know you want to bring me down and bring me into bad news and make me be who I used to be. Wax on, wax off. But I wanna keep kicking that old man to the curb. And I want to keep trying to become this new man. I want to, sometimes, y'all don't want to see me do this split like this. But at the end of the day, the goal is to say with my character, my contributions, and my consistency, I want to let my light so shine before men that they will see my good works and glorify the Father which is in. As a church, our commitment is to sharing the gospel and showing the gospel. So when you think of Fellowship Missionary Baptist Church, when you think of the ship, when you think of fellowship, when you think of Fellowship Chicago, or whatever you call us, I want you to think of two things: sharing the gospel, showing the gospel. sharing good news, showing good news. As a commitment in the city and in culture and in the world, through whatever God gives us, we want to share the gospel and we want to show the gospel. Because when it comes down to it, it's all about the gospel of Jesus Christ. You got it? Come on, clap your hands, family. We celebrate an amazing God.